Hello, welcome to Beards and Bangers. I'm standing in shirt sleeves at the end of October here in the south of the UK, and it's really warm. So the sun has come out. I was a bit worried this morning I was going to make a video and it was going to be raining, but actually it's a really nice day. So what am I going to show you today? Well, if you look behind me, you can see a Rover 200 BRM. Now, what we're going to do today, we're not going to do a test drive today. This is going to be a little bit of a history, and then we're going to have a look over this particular car to give it a bit of an appraisal. So, Rover 200 story. We have to go back to 1970s in Japan, and they were making the Honda Civic, and Honda wanted to make a slightly more upmarket version of the Civic, so they made the Honda Ballard, so basically a Honda Civic, 1970s Honda Civic with a boot. British Leyland, who, for those of you abroad, based in the centre of the UK in the Midlands, and they were struggling. They'd had numerous kind of union difficulties during the 1970s. Red Robbo, getting the workers out continually, and the Triumph brand, which was part of BL, had the aging Dolomite, and that needed replacing. And there wasn't really a small car in the sort of more upmarket Triumph Rover stable. So Honda and British Leyland teamed up, and the Honda Ballard was rebadged as the Triumph Acclaim with a probably slightly better interior. Triumph Acclaim sold till 1984, and then a replacement was needed. So Honda had made a second mark of the Honda Ballard, and that became the Rover SD3, or as we know it, the Rover 213 or the Rover 216. And that shape ran through till 1990, and then the R8 shape was made. And of course, the R8 gives us the Rover Tomcat, the 220 Coupe Tomcat, 220 GTI, so some sportier models. In 95, BMW had taken over Rover, and they were looking for a new style of vehicle. So the R3, which is what we see in front of us, the R3 shape was launched, and that was the Rover 200. Initially, I think with 1.4 and 1.6 engines. And then they made a sportier version called the Rover 200 VI. Now that contained the Rover K-Series engine, the famous or infamous Rover K-Series engine, and that had the VVC, so the variable valve control. So the 200 VI, very rare car now in the UK, dozens left rather than hundreds, was sort of the flagship Rover 200. But in 1997 at the Frankfurt Motor Show, Rover presented the 200 BRM. Now BRM, British Racing Motors, was a Formula One team back in the 1950s and 60s, and they had some notable drivers. They won the Constructors' Championship once, I think, in 1962. Graham Hill, of course, famously raced for them. So BRM had British Racing Green cars with an orange snout, and the orange snout has been lovingly utilised in the front bumper of the 200 BRM. So really attractive, really striking. The Rover 200 BRM, just over 1,000 were made, and of that number, about 350 went abroad. So they're now quite a rare car. So let's have a little look around this particular vehicle. So starting off in the engine bay, we've got the Rover K-Series engine, so twin cam, 16 valve. If any of you are buying a car with a Rover K-Series engine, it's always worth just checking the oil cap and looking on the underside. And if you see mayonnaise in there, then it could indicate head gasket failure. Now the Rover K-Series engine is a very good motor. They're really revvy. Even the 1.4s, which is the second smallest, there is a 1.1 as well. Even the 1.4s are very perky engines, but they do suffer from head gasket failure. If you maintain them, if you get the cam belts changed at the right time, oil changes at the right time, look after them, they are really good motors. So anyone who says, oh, I wouldn't buy a car with a K series, it's because it's not been properly maintained. So this is the 1.8 version. This has got the variable valve control. So VVC is variable valve control, and that basically changes the inlet timing as you move through the rev range, so you get peak torque. So this is a very typical, for those of you who saw my very first video, this engine bay is really similar to the MG ZR160, which I used to have. Obviously that's tuned up, that's got a different ECU, so it's tuned up to 160 brake horsepower. This is delivering 143 brake horsepower, so exactly the same as the Rover 200 VI. But this looks pretty tidy under here, so it's yeah, it needs a bit of cleaning, but it's actually it's pretty tidy. Bearing in mind this is a 1998. I think this was the 46th Rover 200 BRM produced, so it's a really early example. As you can see, it's a T plate, so it's most of them, I think, looking on the forums and various places, are V registered. So this is a really early 200 BRM. But yeah, nice and tidy under the bonnet. I'm going to drop the bonnet down, because one thing I've noticed with this car is the front bumper is just sagging down a little bit, so we've got a bit of a gap in here, which we shouldn't have. So this should be much tighter. So that definitely needs sorting out. Also got a very small bubble of rust on the front lip of the bonnet, but pretty good. Moving round, the arches actually feel good. The arch line is complete, but there's can't really feel any bubbling under there, which is good. Alloys, we've got the BRM alloys, Cosmos wheels, I think these are called. I'm sure some people will say no, they're not, but this one's okay. Bit of a paint going there. Moving down the side, yeah, bit of dirt, but it looks good. We've got these lovely sort of aluminium coloured mirrors, which is nice. Yeah, this alloy is a bit crusty. That's a little bit crusty. And then yeah, the rear bumper is also just sort of hanging down slightly, so they're going to need to come off, just be tightened up. They're held on by a series of screws. The exhaust looks okay. Someone's actually painted the rear face of the back box in green. Actually, on the colour of these are actually Brooklands green. So they're not British Racing green, they are Brooklands green. Yeah, moving around, so yeah, the arches look really good. It's just the bumpers, both bumpers are just slightly not quite lined up right, and just hanging down ever so slightly. But yeah, this is looking very tidy actually. Bit of a scuff on the mirror here, but nothing too bad. Let's have a little look. So as well as having the iconic BRM green, so Brooklands in this case, but British Racing I think was also used. The other really unique thing with these cars is the interior. So we've got a wash with red leather, red carpets. I think they should have red BRM floor mats as well. This has got genuine Rover floor mats, rubber mats, but it hasn't got the BRM branded floor mats, which it probably should have. First thing I noticed with this car, it smells like a proper old car. In our family we have a 1929 Austin Heavy 12, and that's also got red leather, obviously a little bit more worn than these, and a bit dry, but it's the same smell. It's old leather and just a little faint whiff of petrol, which is a bit of a concern. We don't really want faint whiffs of petrol. And then moving to the interior, so we're not doing a full review, we're just looking at things that need doing. So we've got a lovely genuine Rover radio cassette. Having a cassette player in a car really brings up memories. However, it is not working. So yeah, tried that. The clock of course isn't working either, and for this particular radio you need the clock to work, because that tells you what station you're on or what mode you're in, as well as telling the time. Other thing I noticed this morning, the rear wiper isn't working, so we've got a couple of electrical faults. This car does come with a sunroof. I haven't actually tried to open it. I'm not going to do that until I'm absolutely certain it's going to work. But yeah, not a good idea to open some of these sunroofs because occasionally they don't go shut. But the good news is it was really wet last night and early this morning, and there's no water in the headlining. And the headlining itself is actually okay. It's not sagging down too much. I've got a bit of a sag there. It's come away from the foam just in front of the windscreen here. Excuse me. But you know, for a 24-year-old car, this headlining, given what other R3s end up like, is actually pretty good. But just look in the back here. These seats have barely been sat in, and it's just this lovely red leather. I'm not doing a full review, so I'm not going to go into all the little features. This is really a condition report. So this car's got 12 months MOT on it. So yes, this car has got 12 months MOT on it. The advisories were that the tyres are perished, so it's actually done pretty well. We've had a good look over it, and so there's a few things need doing, but it's a car that just needs a bit of fettling. Other things that need looking at, the brakes are quite spongy. There should be pretty good brakes on this car. They are quite light, so they need to be looked at. The steering wheel's a bit off, so we're kind of driving straight, but the wheels quite a bit off to the left. So don't think the tracking's out because the tyres haven't worn down too badly. But something just needs looking at there, and the steering wheel's a bit squidgy. Everything's a bit squidgy with the steering and braking. There's a couple of knocks coming from underneath. I suspect it could be an exhaust mount, but you never know. It could be suspension components, so you just need to get underneath the car at some point and have a good look into it. But yeah, just wanted to show you this car today. Hope you've enjoyed this little video. Just have one last look around it. Thank you for liking my videos. Please do hit like. It really does help to grow the channel, and if you'd be so good, please subscribe as well. There's going to be more videos coming up about the BRM. If you're into Rovers, MGs, we've got other stuff coming up with MGs as well, so please do hit subscribe to be notified of other exciting British car videos. So the next time we'll see you, we'll be doing a review of this car. And we've also got a Jaguar coming up, hopefully next week. So yeah, hopefully getting our hands on a Jaguar to test next week. So thank you for watching, and see you next time.